Internets, we're live at Sopranos Con, sitting here with a good fella, a friend of mine, okay? Artie Pasquale, who is an actor. He's a good fella. He's a former Rhode Islander, right? Is that
That's
right.
Does
that even make a sense called Rhode Islander? Is that even a word?
Yeah, I guess you could. You can call it a lot of things, but Providence, Rhode Island. Yes, that's where I grew up.
Played in many different films, but the Sopranos classic. So many, you think about so many different moments in Sopranos history, and the one of when you go outside to get your newspaper, and Sil comes behind them. He's in his tracksuit. Nice tracksuit, by the way. That was like a velour, right?
Thanks. Yeah, somebody bought that for about $800.
Really?
Yeah.
And he went down to get the newspaper. He turned around and he sees Silvio. And it was a real sneaky fucking thing. It's normal things what Italians do in the mob. And then they go in the house, and he comes from behind him and starts choking the fucking shit out of him. And the dog, whose dog was that?
That dog is it's a long story, but I'll make it short. They put some catnip in my pocket to attract the dog, and the dog was off camera. And, he did the scene about 4 times, me getting the shit beat out of me, banging off the walls and all that stuff. So the dog's barking and barking and barking and barking. So I said, "Will you get this fucking dog off me?" And the trainer says, "Don't yell at Iggy like that." I said, "Iggy? I'm getting the shit beat out of me, and you're worrying about Iggy."
Now, how do they get, obviously, you've been acting, but how do you prepare for being choked out, or, how do you prepare to make it look like, obviously it's called acting, but meaning like for people, listening or watching who may not know how that works, how did that happen? It's
a great question, because people ask me all the time, how'd you get your face to look like that? And it's something you can't prepare for. Like, they think I'm home the night before looking into a mirror saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to get choked. Now, how should I look? Should I look like this? Should I look like that? As I told Steven Van Zandt, Silvio, playing Silvio, he broke these garrets that were like rubber, but hard rubber. He broke about 3 or 4. I said, look, just do it as tight as you can. And if it hurts, I'll tell you. He did it tight enough, and I ended up with a line on my neck for about a day and a half. He did it tight enough where I actually felt like I was being strangled. I was like, and that was the essence, I guess, of acting when you're doing it for real. And it came out. That's how it came out. I really was in the emotion of getting strangled, and my facial expression just occurred like that. And sometimes you get lucky, and as it turns out, it was a pretty good facial expression.
Yeah. It was.
But it's not something that you can plan on doing.
It was one of the many debts on Sopranos. Yeah. But the only thing that stinks about stuff like that, and I said this recently. I was just on stage with Big Puss and Catherine Narducci and David Proval and Curato, Richie Aprio, Johnny Sack.
Yeah.
And I said this, the thing is, people lose characters, but the actors lose their, I don't want to say jobs, you do lose your job, but meaning other things, you try to get into other things because of these things, it's like a springboard.
Yeah.
But when did you know that, when you got the part, did you know that it was going to be killed off, in a quick, moment?
No. I auditioned for a couple of other roles. And
what roles?
I forget the names anyway, but they selected me for whatever reason, because I was making collections with Patsy.
Yep.
So we're kind of a comedy team. I'm tall and he's small or shorter. So it was very comedic in a sense. But, when you went through this read-through at the beginning of the month, and I think James Gandolfini probably was the only guy privy to the script, because everybody else wasn't that I know of. And you would go and you would sit down and you would sign an affidavit of, confidentiality. It was very confidential, this series. And you would always sit down and you would look to the back of the script to see if your name was there, of the episode. And I didn't have a chance to do that. I had sat down, and then Gandolfini came over to me and he said, and he pats me down, he says, "Nice knowing you, Burt." So I knew I had met my time had come. But luckily it was next to the last episode, so it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, I really didn't know, until after the read-through.
Now is that like I said, people see the character, but then they don't realize that people lose paychecks. You know, once you're off, it's like you're almost losing your job, respectfully. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
I don't think, for some reason, I don't know why people don't look at it like that when they're fans of a show. You know, they look at it like, fuck. You know, we don't have Richie Aprile. We don't have Burt Gervasi. You know, we don't have, Christopher. You know, whatever. You know?
Yeah, well, that's what happened with Vincent Pastore, you know, Big Pussy. You know, he left the show early on, and he wasn't so happy about it himself. But, you know, and I'm sure that some of the people in the audience were saying, you know, well, we want to see more of him, you know. But David Chase, you know, those guys are so creative, and they've got a lot of things going through their minds that we can't figure out.
Did you ever have some interactions with Chase where, you know, about the, you know, what he was doing, or actually take us through, like, even, you know, how you got on, like, through The Sopranos?
Well, I befriended him, to be honest with you, 25, 30 years ago. I actually told him a true story, which was the beginning of which was the creation of the Artie Bucco character. Mm-hmm. And he's mentioned this publicly, and he's given me credit for the story. I was growing up in Providence, Rhode Island, and in this Italian section called Federal Hill, and my aunt and uncle had this cafe, you know, a little restaurant, and these, for the sake of a better word, these wise guys would come in and, you know, want to eat whatever my aunt and uncle cooked for them. Well, one fellow was supposed to come in there about 1 o'clock. He comes in every day at 1 o'clock, and he was gonna get shot there. So, if you remember the first episode, they approached my aunt and uncle to go on a vacation.
Yep.
And my aunt and uncle said, no, once you're indebted to those guys, you know, you owe them. We're not going to do anything. So, Tony Soprano, what are we going to do? And this is Tony Soprano's best friend. And bingo, some idea comes up, you know, let's blow the restaurant up as a favor to him, you know. So they blow the restaurant up so he can collect the insurance. Mm-hmm. The guy couldn't go in there, and they shot him in another restaurant down the street. So that's how, that was the thought process at the time. So I gave that to David Chase, and he kept it in his head for like years, and I guess, you know how these guys are. And he kept the name Artie, I'm quite sure, because I gave him the story. And Bucco, I think, is David Chase's grandfather's name. So every time I'd see John Ventimiglia after that playing Artie Bucco, we'd give each other a hug, you know, and he survived the whole show. But that's my input to the Artie Bucco character, which made, you know, when he was when David Chase was interviewed by Peter Bogdanovich, saying, this is crazy, where'd you get this concept where a guy blows up his best friend's restaurant? He said, well, a guy from Providence, Rhode Island, Artie Pasquale, gave me that story. So he gave me credit for it.
That's classic.
Yeah.
So how many times did you try out for your part?
Well, I'd say the third time is when I got this role.
Actually, you know what's even funnier?
Yeah.
I've sat down with a lot of Soprano cast members.
Yeah.
Most of them, it's funny how they say that they either tried out for a different part, or they either tried out for a different part, or they had to go back. Like, it was like nerve-wracking because they had to go back once or twice or 3 times, and they're like, oh, did I get it? Did I get it? You know, Federico, I said it, David Proval, I said a bunch of other people. You know, did you have to, so you said 3 times?
Yeah, the third time I got this role.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's good because the first 2 that I tried out for, one was, I started as a card game, and I don't know if that was going to develop, that character was going to develop. And another one, I get killed almost immediately. I go on some job with Paulie Walnuts, and it was, you know, bing bang. In this sense, you know, I lasted for a while, so it was great in that sense. You know?
And when you tried out, how did you hear that you got the part? Did they call you, or?
Yeah. You know, Georgiana Walken was doing the casting, and they said, we want you to play this role, you know, which... And I was ecstatic. Do
you remember celebrating or going out to eat,
like,
cracking a bottle of wine? Like, what?
I was like so excited, you know. And you don't want to get too excited sometimes because you really never know, you know. They could at the last minute say, well, you know, we thought you were good for this and we changed our mind. Just like editing when it comes to, like prior to me getting strangled, the script had originally said that the episode would open up with me going to Silvio's house, and I'm telling him I'm playing both sides, and some guys are coming into my territory, yada, yada, yada. And I had a long dialogue a long monologue because he was very staccato and short with his answers. You know, I'd go and I'd say, so, and I'd explain something and he would say, so, what do you want me to do? You know, and then I'd do a long thing again. And he'd go, Tony Soprano? I said, yeah. And I'd go back and forth. And I was a recluse memorizing all this stuff. Then in the middle of the episode, I get strangled. So I always watch the show by myself. I didn't need any interference with any goofy comments by people, most of whom didn't know what goes into it.
Sure.
And so I'm ready. As it is, the next to the last episode, I hit a home run. The show opens up with me going out to get the paper. And I said, what happened to that what preceded this, you know? For whatever reason, you know, they took it out and then they referenced it before I get strangled or after I get strangled. So you can't even tell people, you know, don't tell people, you know, I get this and watch me tonight. You never know.
What's your fondest memory of James Gandolfini?
Well, I know it's been said before, the fact that he was such a great, warm, caring guy. I remember one time coming out of makeup or hair or whatever it was, and he was sitting on a bench, and you always respected everybody's individuality as far as how they were going over their lines privately. So I walked by him, and he says, hey, you know, where you going? I said, well, you know, I don't want to bother you. I'm going. He says, yeah, you don't want to go in there with those assholes. He says, come over here, sit with me. So we sat down, and he said, you know, how your kids doing? How the grandkids? You know, everything's fine at home? And we talked about my family. You know, that's how he was. Nothing to do with the acting. And he would do that with a lot of people, but who was I? You know, I wasn't any major character, but he took time out to do that. He was a wonderful guy, you know, and I'm sure you've heard that before from other guys.
Yeah.
Terrific guy.
It's a big heart, you know, big guy, you know, you heard it all, and it's special. And especially, you know, with Sopranos Con and seeing all the people come out from all over the world, man. I mean, I've had people come up to me who know of me. They're from Australia, fucking Nova Scotia, London, Toronto. I mean, you know, all over the place.
And they're not coming here just for a weekend in New York. They're coming specifically for Sopranos Con.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of people came as individuals, you know. A middle-aged woman said she came from California. I said, you didn't come with your family? No, I wanted to come to see this. Hungary, Netherlands. It's...
You know, you've done a bunch of Sopranos type, you know, signings or parties. This is like on steroids, no? Would you say?
Yeah, yesterday was out of control. I mean, today maybe the weather's put a little damper on it, but it's just unbelievable. It's hard to, and I'll tell you what, the most impressive thing yesterday was last night being on the stage with the whole cast.
Actually, let me paint the picture for people. Don't forget what you're saying. Alabama 3, who sang the theme song, Woke Up This Morning, was there performing live. It was beautiful. The lights were on. It was purple up on the stage. Uncle June came out and sang. That there was tremendous amount of cast members on it. There was 1,000 people in the audience. I'm sorry. Don't lose where you were.
No,
you were saying when you were on stage.
Yeah, and then I don't know if it was Michael Mata, somebody invited all of the cast members up on the stage. And so we all went up there, and I forget if there was some music being played, but everybody rose in their seats and all you saw was cameras. I felt like, you know, who are we? You know, are we some god of some kind that these people are standing for? You know, just taking pictures and clapping, and it was surreal. It was crazy.
You know, it's crazy you say that, because it's almost like jumping off a cliff and, you know, feeling like you're going to get caught. And I'm explaining to you why. Like, meaning like you're not going to hit the ground. I'm explaining to you why. Even just this panel recently, we had, you know, Big Pussy on, Johnny Sack, Catherine Narducci, David Proval played for Chiaprio. At the end, I said, let's all take a picture. We were on the stage. Now, I don't know what photographers out there. I don't know who the fuck, you know what I mean? It's not like I mean, Benson was out there, shouts to Big Ball Benson and Ryan and the crew, but I didn't know that, you know, like other people. So anyway, point I'm making is as soon as we go take pictures, there's fucking 50 cameras, you know, people with cell phones, regular cameras, okay? And it's like kind of like you're putting yourself, like, it's not like you're like, hey, let's take a picture. I got a guy who's going to take a picture of us.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, to see that, I think there's people realize it's moments, it's history. I mean, we're talking about 21 years almost that it's off the air. Yeah. 21 years.
And then when Alabama 3 played the song, you know, the memorable song that introduced, everybody got up. It was like, wow, man, this is it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I seen Narducci. She was dancing and going crazy. And what's this guy who played the FBI guy? What's his name?
Oh yeah,
Trevino. What's his name?
Savello.
I forget his name, but I seen him. Man, he was
dancing.
Yeah,
crazy.
He was going nuts. He was nodding his head like
Servito.
Yeah, Servito. Yeah, I salute.
Yeah,
but you know, look. You grew up in Rhode Island. You've had a seasoned journey up on Federal. What's that called? Federal.
Federal Hill. Yeah, it's a very big Italian.
Yeah, you showed me. I was there when we walked. When I was in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
We went. Shouts to Michael Mata and the whole Sopranos Con family. They brought me out there. You were out there. We were on a gondola. The water fire. There was fucking music. I was like, oh, this is. I've never been to Rhode Island.
Thought you were in Venice.
It was beautiful, and we had wine on there. It was nice.
Hot stuff there.
It was nice, but you know, social media. Do you like that? Do you mess with it? You're an older guy, you know. Is it something that you know?
Well, it's something. I mean, I'm not Instagram. I'm not on Instagram.
Twitter.
People tell me I should be, but you know, it's as good as it is. It does some harm. You know, there's just too much of it.
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse. You know what I mean?
I mean, even like with my daughter, I'll use my daughter as an example. She rarely calls me. My son calls me once, twice a day. She texts me. So, I said, I don't want you to tell. I want to hear your voice.
Yeah.
When you laugh, I want to hear your laughter. I don't want you to put LOL, and I have to imagine what you sound like when you laugh.
Yeah, no, I get that too. My daughter's gonna be 20. You know, it's like I'm like. I want to call her. She's like, I don't like to talk on the phone. Let's just text. And I'm like, what? Since when is this?
Yeah.
But it's just mood sometimes, I think. Then some days she'll just call me out of nowhere. And whenever she does that, I always feel like there's something wrong. Like, everything okay? You know, she's like, yeah, why? I'm just calling you, Dad. And I was like, okay.
We're in this whole world of, I mean, I'm in New York City and people bumping into each other. It's just, they're just hunched over, texting, walking across the street, you know, oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's videos. The funniest is all the videos that are out there. I mean, I've been where it's like someone's texting and walk into a pole or, you know, step in a puddle or, you know, but, you know, but I will say this. The reason why I brought that up before is because social media streaming, the new world we're in, has taken over. I mean, there's new Soprano fans because of I met a girl yesterday that told me that she binge watched last month and she loves it and she's here. I was like, holy shit, that's she watched the whole fucking, you know, the whole thing.
It's great to see young people doing that now. Yeah. I'm watching the show. You know, I mean, they weren't even born, these people.
Yeah, it's special.
You know?
Now, what else do you got going on? What are you doing with yourself now? You just
I got a couple of film projects that, you know, I'm waiting on.
Where are you, though? You said you're on social. Are you on Twitter or Facebook? Or?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook.
Okay, so what are you under? Artie Pasquale?
Yeah.
Internets, if you go check him out, go say hello.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, put a picture of him getting choked out and tell him you know you like to choke him when you see him, or a nice track suit or whatever. But you got some projects going on, so people check for you there, or you know it's always great. You know, when we met, I said you know this guy's a class aces gentleman.
Oh, that's nice of you to say that.
So I wanted to sit down with you here, have a conversation, let people who know of you know you a little more, and people who don't know of you to know who you are and your contributions.
That's great. I really appreciate your time.
Internet's Artie Pasquale. I'm not going to choke him out.
Or Pasquale.
Pasquale. You know, it's funny. I pronouncing names, I'm the worst at it because Pastori, you know, it's a lot. You know what I mean? Pasquale. But thanks for stopping by. Shouts to Sopranos Con. We're live over here. Like I said, 10,000 people at least the past 2 days. You know, it's beautiful. The Gandolfini family was here yesterday. It's been really special to be a part of. Artie Pasquale. Premium Pete, we're out.
Thank you
Peace.
very much.